Welcome, everyone. This is a special broadcast. I'm here with Dr. David Martin, who has been at the forefront of the global development and transfer of intellectual property and finance for more than 30 years in over 120 countries. His expertise as a medical school professor and researcher has placed him in a unique position of monitoring the bioweapons program around the world. In 2020, I chose Dr. David Martin as the key speaker in episode 2 of my Plandemic series. He did not disappoint, as he gave us a guided tour that followed the paper and patent trail right to the front door of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease and its director, Dr. Anthony Fauci. In light of the U.S. Senate committee hearing happening right now, Dr. Martin and I are reuniting to expose the very details the media is working very hard to keep hidden from you. Dr. Martin, with respect to time and short attention spans, let's jump right into the deep end.
Beautiful, Mikki. It's great to be back, and it's wonderful to use this moment to remind people that the hearing that just took place, led by Senator Rand Paul, attended by Senator Johnson, Senator Hawley, and others, is a very interesting ongoing part of the cover-up, which many of us have been aware of since long before we were told about SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. And it's important at this moment in time to realize that the cover-up about the 2014, to be specific, the January 1st, 2014 immunity document that came out as part of Biden's pardon of Fauci, is itself a smokescreen. And it's critical that we understand that under the Patriot Act, and specifically under Section 802 of the Patriot Act and other components, including Section 2339, the statute of limitations for domestic terrorism resulting in the death of Americans has no statute of limitation, and in this particular case precedes all of the 2014 pardon by several years. It's important for everybody to realize that beginning in 2002, and you heard the date correctly, in 2002, Anthony Fauci, together with Ralph Baric, made a modification of the coronavirus so that it would target human heart and human lung tissue. In 2005, they announced that they had what they called synthetic coronavirus as a, quote, biowarfare enabling technology. I don't know if that sounds like an innocent, kind of Sunday school picnic to you, but last time I checked, biowarfare enabling technology is a rather straightforward position. And then the smoking gun, which actually gives us the ability to show that it was an act of domestic terrorism, is actually a grant. And it's a grant that's referenced in the 2016 paper that said that SARS-CoV-2 was, and I quote, poised for human emergence from a model that was jointly developed by the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill and by the Wuhan Institute of Virology using a thing called WIV1, the Wuhan Institute of Virology Virus 1, the grant number U19A 107810, which has Anthony Fauci and Ralph Baric's fingerprints all over it, began on September 29th, 2009. A full 5 years in advance of the pardon. So when we are told that there is supposedly no way Congress can prosecute Anthony Fauci, that there's no way for the Justice Department to hold him accountable because of a 2014 pardon, it is critical for all of us to listen and share and promote this conversation so that our congressional leaders understand that Anthony Fauci, together with Ralph Baric, committed acts of domestic terrorism as defined by the statute, for which there is neither pardon nor statute of limitation. So the 85-year-old Dr. Anthony Fauci, Mr. Science, who pleads the fifth, still has a legal pathway to be held accountable for all of his actions that led to the death of millions of people around the world.
And long before COVID, as we know his history, this is a repeated MO.
That's exactly right. And it's important for us to continue to recite the fact that there was no such thing as SARS, not SARS 1.0. There was no such thing as SARS until Ralph Baric modified coronavirus to hit human lung epithelial cells back in 2003. So the whole notion of SARS as a disease is something that was created by, funded by, and entirely supported by the gain-of-function research, which by 2005 was officially labeled bio-warfare-enabling technology.
Dr. David Martin, thank you so much once again for bringing clarity to an otherwise very confusing and intentionally messy narrative. As the people, our power to bypass the gatekeepers of free speech is simply within your hands by sharing this video, by making it viral, and I mean right away, because this hearing ends very soon and a decision is going to be made. And we're making this video to hopefully impact that decision. So please share it and don't stop.
As always, Mikki, thank you. And I want to acknowledge the fact that you amplified a voice that ultimately was heard around the world. What you did with Plandemic put this conversation front and center a long time ago. And as you just said, the public can make a difference. This is an act of domestic terrorism, which resulted in the death of Americans. No statute of limitation, no presidential pardon gets you out of the crosshairs of that allegation. So thank you, Mikki.
And thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. This is a special broadcast